Hi. Long time no talk. Happy birthday, Aries. Now, I will say I am an Aries rising, and I wasn't going to start with Aries because I wanted to do these in order. What I'm going to do is, in order to make sure that everybody gets their reading, I am going to do multiple signs at a time. We're going to do fire first because Aries, it's your birthday. And then we're going to do the rest of we're going to go by element. So if you're wondering why, it's just because I want to make sure everybody gets their stuff done. It gets to a point where nobody gets their reading. We're going to do a 666 spread. We're going to start with some magnetic poetry. For the fire signs, that's Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. We're going to use a Santa Muerte Tarot with magnetic poetry and the Book of Answers. Everything you need to know is in the description box of the video, including how to find your rising moon and Venus sign, which I think you should also look at the videos for your rising moon and Venus sign. It's important for you to know the time that you were born to find your rising sign, because it changes every 2 hours. My name is Ashley. I am clairsentient, claircognizant, and clairaudient. When I hear ringing in my ears during your reading, I often get messages. When I hear it on the right side, they're messages from people I know that have passed on. And when I hear it on the left, those are messages from my spirit guides. I will try my best for you today because I finally have time. But let's go ahead and let's get started for you. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, fire sign reading for the month of April into May. There's something of an us versus them. One of the songs that I was listening, because I do listen to music before I take readings or do readings. Us versus them was a thing. The song Floor by Them or Us Too. And it was more the whole thing, them are us too. So that us versus them thing came up. This is a very thick deck of cardstock, so we're not going to shuffle it like we normally would. I'm shuffling as I'm speaking. There's also pensiveness. One attempting to choose their words carefully when discussing something with somebody. Something that they know they have to approach, but it's with somebody. Yeah. There's the validation there. Let me just check this. It could be with a sibling. But there's pensiveness about approaching the subject, reticence, or it's a difficult discussion, a difficult conversation. Twist for fairness. There's a feeling of import with it. Could be over politics or disagreement with politics. Let's get your magnetic poetry to start. We'll finish with, I've been wanting this book for ages. I finally got it. I got it like a couple months ago, but because I was doing love readings, I didn't get an opportunity to use it because I didn't want to start using it mid-read for people, but this is the Book of Answers. We will use this at the end. But let's see what your messages are before we start our reading today with the magnetic poetry. Messages for our fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Again, I mean, it should go without saying, but like, if something applies to you, it applies to you. Don't try to make things fit. I think that if you are well versed in readings and watching YouTube readings, they are extremely general. So if something isn't yours, don't make it yours. Okay? I'm going to put these in list format so that you can kind of unscramble them as you see fit. I want you to also take this time to set an intention for yourself for this reading. There we have it. Now I've turned down the light in hopes that we won't have, and I apologize for the nails. I'm not getting my nails done right now. I've got a lot of debt I need to figure out how I'm going to fix. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and let's do your reading. I did try to make sure that we weren't going to have glare from the camera on the cards because these are glossy cards. But let's get started for you. I only take flippers and jumpers. Maximum of 3. We're going to do 6 cards across. Past, present, future. And of course I will read dignities. Fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, past energy. And right out the gate we have our first 3. Ace of Cups in the reverse with the Queen of Swords in the reverse and the 7 of Cups in the upright. Okay. Almost reads like a sentence, doesn't it? Right off the bat. What we have here, to begin with, the beginning of a relationship isn't happening. Also could be where a renewal in a current relationship doesn't seem to be getting off the ground so well. There's a feeling of injustice over this. Queen of Swords could be dealing with a Libra individual, somebody with Libra in their chart, which is actually an Aries' divine counterpart. But it could be during this season because the inverse of Libra is Aries. It could be during. It could have been a start or a renewal that was supposed to happen. Should have happened. Because I did say that should have happened during Aries season, the inverse of Libra. But it's almost as if there's a feeling of injustice or a lack of balance or fairness that came along with this. And there's an intuitive feeling that it's because of options. That one person has it, another doesn't. I think that's why. There's a lack of fairness and equilibrium there. Whether or not that's a hunch or a reality, I can't really say. We'll find out with the surrounding cards. But the feeling that a relationship or a renewal in a current relationship didn't begin, it almost feels like there may be dishonesty or a sense of injustice or almost like a lack of balance because somebody is entertaining additional options or has additional choices that they're contemplating at this time. Whether or not they're doing that outwardly or not is not necessarily my business. And I think that also we should remember it's also not your business if that's happening either. 1 second. We really get up in our heads about how people think about us, what people think about us, and sometimes we tend to ascribe in relationships in particular that it's our business how people feel. What people think of you is none of your business. Just because the subject matter is you doesn't make it your business. Those are people's personal thoughts, their own personal thoughts, and that does not make it your business just because the subject matter is you. And, there's almost a feeling like, at the same time, careful what you wish for. Because sometimes it's not a good thing for you to know everything. If you're in a relationship or contemplating beginning a relationship or awaiting renewal in a current relationship, and somebody else is considering their emotional options, sometimes it's best that you don't know. And that's why people's thoughts are private, right? Careful what you wish for, because sometimes that can be extremely damaging to yourself, to your self-esteem, to your confidence, and it can actually create an atmosphere where you might not be acting yourself when you know that, versus if you didn't, right? It can impact how you go about your day, or your relationship with somebody, to your detriment. So, nonetheless, let's keep going. Let's move forward. In the past, for our fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. What else do we have here? In the past, Sagittarius. Flipper. A Knight of Wands in the reverse. This is Sagittarian energy. A lack of passionate action forward. Because somebody is contemplating their options, and especially if this was a Sagittarian individual, it could be that you're contemplating. It could be that they're not taking passionate action forward because of the contemplative energy. Yeah, because of the contemplative energy. And it can be one of those things where they're kind of trying to evaluate things from a fair perspective, even though you might be trying not to. It totally threw me off. I'm going to just stop answering my phone. It might be throwing you off kilter and impacting how you act in their presence. It might be impacting the atmosphere and the climate of your relationship from your side of things. But for them, they're sitting back and they're trying to carefully consider the options that they're taking. And not moving forward because they understand the gravity of that decision, of the consideration there is something that they're trying to really weigh out carefully. What else in the past? I remember, this is past energy. This could be the reason a relationship in between you and an individual didn't begin when it was supposed to. It was because there were several options that somebody needed to consider, so they didn't take action forward. And the King of Pentacles in the reverse. Taurus energy. An individual who normally provides hearth and home, a warm atmosphere, an inviting atmosphere in the home space, but also security, deep sense of security. This could be an individual who also isn't extremely secure, doesn't have that firm foundation built in the home space, and that could also be why there's some reticence. Also a lack of feeling of worthiness. Somebody not feeling that they have the worthiness, they can't bring it in the home space. Doesn't feel like a knight, much less doesn't feel like a knight, much less a king. So they don't take action, their own self-worth. Lastly, for the past, they could also be seeing your lack of confidence as unbecoming, or your inability to create a stable, secure home space as unbecoming. Tell me more. And there are multiple reasons why that could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the good old-fashioned buck, right? You know, can be about emotional stability, emotional intelligence, security. From another standpoint, yeah, there's an inaction, a reversal of action, or a standstill with the Chariot here. Cancerian energy. So the standstill here, the lack of movement forward. Somebody isn't progressing. Somebody isn't moving forth. This can also be about delays in travel, or so this is always my change of address card. This could be somebody not moving, not relocating, not traveling, making the decision not to travel, potentially because they lack stability in their home space, and there are priorities that they have to take care of first. This could also be reflecting these last three cards could also be a reflection of the options in the Seven of Cups. The Knight of Wands, who doesn't take passionate action forward, not just of a romantic nature, but also lacks the passion to move forward towards their goals with that fresh burst of energy. The King of Pentacles being an individual who lacks the stability emotionally, emotional security, or cannot provide the warm, inviting, secure, and stable home space, but the firm foundations as well that embodies. And then also the Chariot, which is somebody who doesn't move forward, who doesn't make progress, is stagnant. This is also stagnancy here with the Chariot in the reverse. It's stagnancy. Normally we see this as a cart pulling force, a forceful pulling forward from a horse drawn carriage, a rush and flurry of activity forward. And in the reverse, it's stagnancy. In the present, now is where we're going to start to really see dignities. In the present for you, fire signs, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, we got flippers already. There's a truth here. Either the epiphany of truth with the Ace of Swords, Aquarian energy. I always say it's Libra energy, though, because it is Athena's sword. And then the Six of Pentacles in the reverse. There is an epiphany that has happened here for an individual, either looking in hindsight or not. And it's doubled up energy. The Six of Pentacles, which is the only Libra card in the Pentacles suit, it's a lack of balance. It's a lack of fairness. There is somebody who is giving and somebody who is taking, and there is no interplay of energies between the two individuals, where like the ebb and flow isn't happening. So that give and take, the charity and the charitable, it's like the one receiving the charity and the one who is the charitable. There isn't an interplay of energies between them that represents equilibrium when the Six of Pentacles is in the reverse. And we see that directly beneath the Queen of Swords, which means there is a deep sense of imbalance, a lack of fairness, a lack of equilibrium. And the truth being right underneath the Ace of Cups in the reverse shows why something didn't get off the ground. It could be in hindsight that the realization of this truth is nigh. But that is the truth. So somebody is coming to realize this right now, if nothing else, that there was an imbalance. Somebody was giving more than another, and it didn't seem fair. That there should always be fairness in that. And that Ace of Swords is so prevalent, it's cutting through to the crux of the issue. And we see it twice here with the Queen of Swords in the reverse, and then we see it again in the Ace of Swords. That truth may be a cutting truth. I remember at the beginning I said there was a difficult conversation coming up in between two individuals. And I think that in the present, This is the conversation that somebody has at top of mind. With that Six of Pentacles in the reverse, it's something that they understood from the beginning, the renewal of a relationship, or the lack of beginning of a relationship is, look, because we just don't, like, there isn't a give and take of energies between the two individuals. Somebody is always taking, somebody is always giving, and because of that, it creates resentment, you know? Moving forward, yeah. in in the pentacles, two individuals, and the imbalance in between them. With the pentacles here, or sorry, in the present, sorry, I think that also it's creating a scenario, just looking at that Six of Pentacles, it's also creating a scenario where it causes somebody to look outward this from this pairing of individuals to see where there are other people who are providing them with that equilibrium and that fairness in their interactions, in their relationships. And relationships are more than just romantic relationships. There are friendships, there are family dynamics. There, you know, even in the workspace, who is filling my cup and whose cup am I filling, and where is that representative of fairness and balance? And why is it that when I'm in this more intimate relationship, I don't seem to have that same equality, or rather equity? Same word, same difference. Let's see what else. Sorry. I felt compelled to split the deck. You see that? I felt compelled to split the deck. Like, things, there's a feeling that somebody feels like things should be equally split down the middle. I almost feel like for these I need my glasses. Girl's getting old. I can't read cards without my glasses. Can, just 2 seconds. I'll get a pair. 1 sec. I have a few pairs. Went with the Ralphs today. Anyway, all right. Let's go ahead and let's see what else we have here for you. You know, I actually missed doing this spread. I really enjoy the interplay of the cards. I really do. I was getting really burnt out on doing that love reading. So much so that I stopped short of doing everybody's. I was not loving it. Wasn't loving it. See what else here. What else? Present energy. Fire signs. Aries, Leo, Sag. Okay. Ten of Swords is creating angst, suffering, pain for somebody. That Ten of Swords energy there. I think you're attributing pain in your current situation to, like, pain and anguish and suffering, to either you or somebody else, to this to the lack of balance and fairness and equilibrium in the situation, of course, either in the past, but also that it carries on to the present. But I think you're also dragging with you, either you or this individual, from the fact that there were choices. The fact that somebody would even consider that there was an option, that there were other emotional options or outroads for them. What is that saying? I just fucking had it here. It's like if you have to consider me an option, Like, I'm not an option, I am the option. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, yeah. The fact that you were considered an option, it meant that you know, like, could I mean so little that I would be considered an option when I should be the only option? I think that's the thing. It's creating like, not anxiety but anguish, pain, suffering, the feeling of loss, injury, deep injury. And there could also be somebody who's dealing with profound sickness and pain right now as a result of a lack of equilibrium and balance, fairness, justice, but also the fact that they were considered a choice. I am not, thank you, I am not choice, I am your only choice. And somebody feels this sense of ending. Like, they feel like so incensed by the fact that I should be your only choice. Fuck choice, I'm your only choice, right? Um, and it's actually stagnated their passion. Looking at this Knight of Wands in the reverse, right? They don't want to they don't want to consider themselves to be just another cup. They should be the cup, and it's kind of putting a damper on their ability to move forward and burst forward with passion and desire. They don't feel necessarily like there's inspired action. What else? I'm not taking this lightly at all. I just what else? Oh God, that happened. Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. So you see how this is an abacus, yeah? Now, for all those kids out there, an abacus was what you used before calculators for simple calculations. For simpler calculations, like each row would represent a 10, 1,000, 100, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, and you would use it to do calculations and counting houses and stuff with money a lot of the time. But classically speaking, the Seven of Pentacles is about somebody investing, making an investment with their time, energy, monetary, effort, and it counting towards something. Somebody feels as if it was for naught. They could also feel like it's almost like a barren garden, like throwing your seeds into the garden and waiting for them to sprout, but if they didn't sprout, if we think about the Seven of Pentacles and its classic meaning, here with the abacus, I feel like there's a taking of stock that's happened and it's coming up in deficit, like in the negative, like in the red as opposed to the black. Like somebody's taken a loss in a connection because of the lack of equilibrium. With that Six of Pentacles in the reverse, and we have a Seven of Pentacles in the reverse, it's like somebody's like, I have an emotional bank account that is in the negative. I might also have a physical bank account that's in the negative. I might have felt like I wasted my time. And remember, like I cannot emphasize this enough, Pentacles is not just money. Pentacles is also the time that we invest, the energy that we invest, the tangible energy that we invest on the earthly plane towards something, and we expect fruits of our labor. This is a representation of where somebody feels that they're in deficit or that they took a loss in the investment that they placed in something. And it's caused a great deal, just looking at the King of Pentacles in reverse up here, it's caused them to feel as if they cannot move forward with an inspired action towards anything. They're being caused to consider their options, either you or them. Remember, when I do readings, I hear they are. Not because it's not me, I'm reading a person, either you or another person, but it's they. I never typically say you, in a reading. So an individual here, because of this feeling as if they're in the red, in the negative, their time bank, their energy bank, or their financial bank is in deficit right now, in a negative balance, and as such they are forced to consider their options, forced to consider their emotional options, seek where the investment will eventually pay off, and they don't feel they can take inspired action towards something. And it's actually also caused a lack of stability for them in their home space, but also emotional instability, the lack of feeling security and a firm foundation in their home space with this King of Pentacles in the reverse. Yeah. What else? It was all for naught. Like, what was it all for? Somebody praised this? Oh, this is really weird. Like, I'm getting from this, especially, somebody may have invested in somebody getting an augmentation of sort. We have two here that have dropped. I have them like this. When I have them like this... Okay, so this one we're going this way, and this one we're going this way, because they were leaning that way. Okay. Five of Pentacles in the reverse. With the Six of... Yeah, okay. Five of Pentacles in the reverse is trying to look at things from an empowered perspective, exercising self-empowerment in order to see victory, in order to triumph at the end of the day. Five of Pentacles is normally where one feels left out in the cold outside of a church, but the thought is not sitting in the victimhood mentality, so that one can understand that the choice was theirs to warm themselves inside the church, because the doors were unlocked the entire time, yet they're sitting outside huddling in the cold going, oh no, poor me. So it's self-empowerment, exercising self-empowerment and stepping out of a victimhood mindset is it going to provide them with a triumphant feeling and a feeling of victory and success over defeat after a long battle, like winning the battle, They're attempting to, either you or whoever this is, the individual who feels the sense of loss or the sense of that their investments were for nothing, they're trying to kind of flip the script on their way of thinking, creating a scenario where they made choices to remain stagnant or not to progress forward, or where the standing still was a choice. And in so doing, by flipping the dialogue on it, they're attempting to find a way that they can come out on top and triumphant as the winner, as the maker of their own destiny, as opposed to really ultimately losing in the present, whatever losing is to this individual, you or them, whoever it is. I've got a sour stomach right now. In the future for you, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. We have a Three of Swords. Heartbreak. Feeling of pain. Agony, like emotional agony. Noticing this card, I never noticed this before, because normally I just look at the card and I'm like, oh, this is what this means. Look here, there's a feeling of betrayal that comes along with this heartbreak. See how the swords are stabbed right into the back? It's a feeling of betrayal here. And that somebody wants to punish somebody. You see, but that's like a mental hang-up, you see, because that one skeleton is sitting on the head of the other, almost like it's in the brain. But there's a feeling of betrayal, pain and betrayal, heartbreak and betrayal, heartbreak over a betrayal. Somebody feels betrayed. Once they see the truth, they will feel betrayed. But is this a feeling that one was betrayed by another, or a feeling that one betrayed themselves? I couldn't tell you. Guess we'll see. If Five of Swords comes up, more than likely, yeah. A sense of self-betrayal, self-deception, right? Let's see. Fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sag. How long is this reading? Not very long. Not bad, Ash. We'll see how long it takes for us to get the other 5 cards. Okay. Well, we knocked a bunch out. We can't take that many, but we can take this one. Knight of Cups in the reverse. Somebody didn't follow their intuition on a situation. But more than that, Cancerian energy on this, hey? Actually, no. Piscean energy. Sometimes I just read it as Cancer just because I always used to when I was a kid. Knight of Cups. Somebody is heartbroken and feels betrayed because there is no longer the pursuit, the romanticism in the future. In the future, there's no more romanticism in a connection. That pursuance of somebody else isn't happening. Somebody isn't being that knight in shining armor, or that guy on the white horse who comes in with the flowers and the poetry and spouts off all of those lovely words that we hear in movies. They're not seeing that energy from another person anymore. That actually could be a part, just in this downline here, with the Queen of Swords in the reverse, the Six of Pentacles in the reverse, and then the Knight of Cups in the reverse. That could actually be one of the issues in that lack of balance. Could be that one person is always being that super sweet romantic individual in a relationship, and the other person just kind of receives it all, like, yeah, I give it all, but I'm not going to return it. Like, I'm not going to hit the ball back. Like playing tennis with a wall and a potato. You know? And they're seeing the truth of that. And it feels like a betrayal, but it also is completely heart-wrenching, because why wouldn't any individual feel worthy of that? And if you're in a connection with somebody else, why would the person that you're with not feel that you're worthy of that? Especially if you're giving that to them. Of course, recognizing that, and I would hope that most people recognize that we don't all express and communicate our feelings to other people the same way. And we just hope that we end up with somebody who does, or that we communicate before we get into these bigger connections. Not that this is supposed to be a love reading, but if you're getting into a connection with somebody and you're taking it to a serious space, you would hope that you kind of understand and respect how you communicate to each other in that space. But that seems to be a part of the truth here. Is that somebody's not hitting it back in the same way. You know? But there's also an expectation here. I think that's a part of this. a part of the pain is that there was an expectation that somebody held within themselves, that I was going to be this sweet, loving person, and you were expected, I had an expectation that you were going to, and by the way, that is the dangerous thing. That is dangerous. You can't just expect and hold expectations like that over other people. And then when they fail to meet your expectations of them, well, they're shit people. No, that doesn't work like that. What's the greatest way to fail in life is to have expectations. I mean, after you've communicated it to somebody, if they're, we're all individuals, we're all independent human beings, and, you can't just tell somebody, well, if you don't, live up to my expectations, then out you go. I mean, there are deal breakers, of course, but I think there was also an expectation here that wasn't communicated effectively, or that you always believed, or they, or, one of you always believed that the expectation was that if I am this romantic, poetic individual towards you, that will be returned to me. And it's not the case, and it's double pain here, because we have the sickness, the grief, and the loss of, and the ending in the present of the 10 of Swords. And then in the future, we have the heartache and the residual pain and betrayal, and that ensuing grief in the future with the 3 of Swords. And this is the why. The Knight of Cups is the why of that 3 of Swords. What else? I'm so sorry. I feel so bad for whoever this is for, because it's almost as if we need to look at that 5 of Pentacles again a little bit closer. Use that self-empowering language and understand where you were the maker of your own present and future on this. We have 2 here. Yeah, we have Death card. There is an ending with the Page of Cups. There's a lack of apology for this. Page of Cups in the reverse. And that just, for lack of a better term, puts the nail in the coffin for somebody. Forcing you to transition into something else for yourself. Ending something so that you can begin anew somewhere else. There's a lack of apology, even the small token, the small gesture, even the smallest gesture. You couldn't even get the smallest gesture of appreciation, of apology, like even like a little tiny token of affection or appreciation or apologetic feeling. You couldn't even get that. Somebody couldn't, you couldn't, they couldn't. And with that 10 of Swords, that just put the nail in the coffin. It's like, what was this all for? I'm also seeing something here, and I don't like to really touch on this kind of stuff because it's super morbid, but I'm not going to hold back, sorry. You see that little baby crib there and the pregnant, this is the pregnant Santa Muerte, man. That over there, up there, is the normal Santa Muerte. You see her? Oh, you can't really see her now. Anyway, and this is a pregnant Santa Muerte mourning over an empty crib, looking at it, and this is the Death card. So it might also be that there was like somebody who is unapologetic over the fact that they're not willing to, with that 7 of Pentacles in the reverse up top of it, they're not willing to invest in terms of, they're not willing to give, it's like my word is final. Why did I just say world, like the world card, like an ending, because the Death card is an ending, but then I accidentally said world. So yeah, there's something ending here, because that 10 of Swords is an ending, and the Death card is an ending. Somebody is refusing to discuss children. or getting into that part of life where having children is a thing. And that is the straw that breaks the camel's back. And something has to end, or it has to transition into a new type of relationship, or because this is the lack of investment. Somebody's not willing to invest further in that regard. And so instead of sitting around in a victimhood energy, like all of this is happening to me, what part did you play in it? You're starting to realize. And you're going to, either you or this person is going to end a situation based on that. Finally, for you, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. I really hope this isn't the loss of a child. I don't think it is, because we don't have everything in the one space down here. I think it's the refusal to give something a shot in that regard. After all of the investment and the lack of fairness there. Tell me more. In the future, fire signs. Shrine card in the reverse. Leo energy. By the way, this was Scorpio energy. But Leo energy. The strength card. Somebody's going to lose their temper. Exercising self-empowerment to somebody in this whole soap opera, and I'm not trying to trivialize it, but in this whole story, somebody's going to lose their temper. It's a conversation about somebody's selfishness. This is losing control of the inner beast, the lion. Something about pride. Somebody's pride before the fall. It's a battle. There's deep anger. That could be the response to somebody choosing to end a situation or transform it into another type of situation, is anger. There could be a prideful display associated with it. Like, fine, I don't care, blah, 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 blah. Especially with this here, it could be attention seeking. Remembering the negative aspects of that. Tell me more. Lastly, tell me more. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Somebody could actually lose their temper and say something hurtful. If it's related to this, it could be, well, you didn't want to do this just because you want to maintain your nice, body so that you don't have to, which is a real asshole thing to say. There are a lot of reasons that women don't want to have children, if this is what this is. Sometimes the imagery in the cards is eerie because of that. But if it's just because somebody ended a situation, it could also be, like revenge body. But then somebody posts all this stuff so that the person who, to create jealousy in the person who they broke up with, that kind of thing. Like, I'll show that guy or that chick, and it creates more anger. Then it wasn't the desired effect. It's like we're trying to exercise self-empowerment with that Five of Pentacles. Like, look how empowered I am to do what I want, and look at how great I look. I'm coming out of this terrible loss with an ending here, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to go out on the town and show everybody how great everything is. And look, some girl wanted to, take me out for a drink, and now look at me, and I'm going to show everybody, and I'm going to show that person, that kind of thing. It's like feigning empowerment and attention seeking with that Six of Wands there with the Strength card in the reverse. That's not the right way to do it. We have two here that have flipped over that I'm going to keep. This card, Vomit, I'm not going to take because there are too many cards. Yeah, so at the end of all of this, we have two left. Three of Pentacles in the upright with the Hanged Man in the upright. So there's a gaining of perspective that has to happen here. Contracts and negotiations, friendship energy, but also perspective needs to be gained. Somebody is attempting to look at things from several different angles in order to achieve additional insight. I see an energy there on that one. And at the same time, they're also attempting to connect with mind, body, and spirit. If we look at this card, the reason I like this one is because a gardener often will be connecting with the earth and taking the time to really think. But they're also grounding spiritually. And at the same time, physically doing something. Physically doing something that kind of connects them with the earth. Connects them with it. So it's basically a trinity of energies. And really making sure that they're working in perfect symphony with one another. Oftentimes, you'll also see this as people connecting in friendship with other people. And you see here also we have the 3 stages of growth. Come on, focus for me. You see that 3 stages of growth of a plant. So, but the attempt to gain perspective, the need to put oneself in many different individual shoes, or somebody is attempting to put themselves in many different positions in order to consider something from all different angles with the Hanged Man. It's almost like a taking stock type energy. I would see this normally with just the Four of Swords on its own. Quiet repose, rejuvenation, and rest in order to consider something and kind of, contemplate, following a 3 of Swords energy. So it's kind of poetic that we have these 3 of Swords here, and then this over here. It's kind of like saying 4 of Swords after it all kind of blows up. It's funny too, because it's not funny, but this is kind of like saying Tower. Right? Anyway, that's what I've got. Let's do your Book of Answers. What I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to kind of take a moment, connect with yourself, ask yourself a question. It can be an open-ended question. It can be a yes-no question. I will give you 10 seconds. Fire signs. What is it that our Aries, Leo, and Sagittarian individuals, what is the answer to what they want to know? Listen more carefully, and then you will know. All right, that's what I got for you. If this made sense, if you like what I do, go ahead, hit that one. And if you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that too. Because, yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you when we see you next. Bye.